contract. So I've been around this game for a long time. I love to give back to this game. I coach kids. I've do these speaks that help you guys, learn a little bit about yourselves and grow as people. And I just enjoy life, and I want to help you guys do the same thing. So we're all going to talk about our stories. I'm going to start off, then Jamal, then Rebecca, and we're going to talk about our life experience growing up and a little bit about bullying. We're going to speak a bit about racism, and we're going to try and enlighten you guys and have just a conversation with you guys about those things. All right, so I started playing basketball once I moved to Canada. The reason I picked up the game was I grew up in the Bahamas. All my family was there. All my friends were there. I moved to a new country, I moved to Canada, I moved to Toronto, and I didn't fit in very well. I dealt a bit with bullying because I was, a bit taller than everyone else. I was skinny back then, big goofy, you would say, and I had to learn to adjust. So I turned to sports, and basketball helped me through a lot of those things. And it wasn't always easy. It didn't come naturally to me because I started playing the game pretty late at age 15. So I was in high school already. I started picking it up, and people didn't really think that I could make it anywhere with the game. So, I struggled. I didn't play a lot on the basketball team at school. I wasn't at a basketball powerhouse either, but I needed time to learn the game. I needed time to adjust to my new surroundings. I needed time to adjust to everything new that was happening. So it was all a big growth. So, I started playing basketball in grade 10. Grade 12 rolls around. I don't have any scholarship offers. No one really knows who I am. So I took an extra year, and I really dedicated myself to the game. And I ended up getting a scholarship to Dalhousie University in Halifax. And that's how I ended up in Nova Scotia. And things there, they weren't particularly easy for me from the get-go. I started off on that team playing the least amount of minutes, the least amount of games, and I pretty much rode the bench my entire rookie season, my whole freshman year. But I wasn't discouraged. I had a lot of, intrinsic motivation within myself, and I believed that, I wanted this to happen, I was going to make it happen. So even though when I was in high school and no one thought it was going to happen, I made it happen. I got a scholarship, and I made it happen at Dow. Because I went on the second year, I played a little bit more, until my senior year, I was the team captain, the team points and rebounds. I was a AUS All-Star. I was team MVP. And after that, I went on to get a contract to play overseas in Australia. And I played pro ever since, and now I'm the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters. So I just want you guys to know that no matter what situation you're in that's limiting you, there are ways that you can overcome those things. There are ways that you can move forward, and there's ways that you can find a way around. It might be tough, you might have barriers, but there are ways to overcome, and there are ways to find outlets for your passion, ways to find outlets for whatever sorts of angst or aggression or anger you may feel that are positive. Because there are people that they find that they are troubled, they find things are going their way, and they turn to bullying. They turn to bullying other people for what's going wrong with them. And that's something that you can't have. And it's only really hurting yourself because it shows your weakness as a person. And it shows, your own inability to handle your own situation. So I want everyone to remember those things. And if you see someone bullying, you got to take action. You can't allow that. You guys got to stay positive. You guys got to work together as a community. You see people that are different, that are different from you, and you find that you need to exclude them, you want to bully them, you can't do that. So we're going to have a good time today. Jamal's going to talk, and we're going to continue this conversation.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jamal. Actually, before I tell you about myself, the reason why I chose to join Rob and speaking to you guys, and the reason why I was excited today is because I feel that basketball really gives you an opportunity to learn things that you're going to have to use in your life. I think that for me, has really allowed me to make friends in places that I never probably would have any other way. But most importantly, it just taught me to keep persevering, keep going, keep pushing, as Rob was saying, even though it didn't seem like he was going to be what he turned into. Because he didn't listen to anybody and he kept working on his craft and he kept working on himself, now he's here and is an example of what you can do when you keep pushing. So with me, my life is a little bit like that as well. I born and raised in Toronto. Pretty good situation, had what I needed. Basketball was a love of mine, and every day that's all I would do. Over time, as I got older and close to when I was going to graduate high school, my mother passed away. And in that happening, life kind of changed a bit for me, where I had to start thinking about what I actually was going to be doing with my life, because my mother was kind of like everything for me. And I ended up not going right back to school and not playing basketball for a few years, and what that did was make me go into directions where I was in the streets at night, and I was roaming the streets with people that were trying to make money fast, trying to make money easy. And in the long run, I saw people's lives go down the drain with it. And in that process, hurt other people's lives as well. And it was a very simple thing. Nobody set out to get in trouble. Nobody set out to cause mischief or get in trouble with the law. It just kind of happened that way because they didn't have a direction. And me being with them, it ultimately brought me down their path. Fortunately for me, I had this skill that was valuable, which was basketball. So when the time came for me to escape that world, I was fortunate enough to have something that was valuable enough that somebody would have given me a chance, and I was able to get out of it without being in trouble with the law myself or having to go through some of the things that I witnessed other people go through. And that's why I enjoy talking to young people. Now I actually work as a personal trainer and a skills trainer, where I teach people how to do some of the things that you see Rob and me do. I also was looking to play professionally, but I ended up having a son recently, and I had to grow up a little bit and start to decide what was most important for my family. And still wanting to be a part of basketball and help, I chose to teach it instead. And the thing I teach more than the skills itself is the process, how you learn, how you get through things, how you overcome things. And that's what you guys can take from any sport you guys play, is how to get good at something, how to dedicate yourself to something, and then how to not allow yourself to be distracted and then be led astray from what it is that you really want for yourself. So for me, that is the message that I bring to basketball, and then I use all the skills that I have in a way so that I can teach those things along with the game itself. So that's the main reason I wanted to come here, was because by still showing you guys tricks and things that you can do with the game, there's obviously a more important message here than why we're here. And I think that I want you guys personally to have fun, but take it as an opportunity to experience the world in a way that you may not see it, because you might not be presented with some of those things. But it's really subtle how things can go wrong, and if you are aware of it, then you can protect yourself from people who might want to bring you down in the wrong direction, and you can stay on your path. So that's kind of where I come from, and I met him at Dow, fortunately for me, and now here we are with you guys. So that's big.
Rebecca. All right. So hi, my name is Rebecca. I am Mi'kmaq First Nation. I am from New Brunswick. My community is from Lennox Island, so PEI. But I grew up in the Maritimes. I am Maritime, New Brunswick, now Nova Scotia person. I love it here. So my story of growing up is a little bit different. So how many of you guys, raise your hands if you've heard of residential schools? Right? So for me, residential schools was not really far removed. My father is a residential school survivor. He went to residential school when he was a kid. And so because of that, my interaction with my culture has been very different as I grew up. So I went to a very non-diverse high school. Me and my sister were the only Aboriginal students there, of 1,200, right? So there wasn't a large population of my community. But I grew up with my dad when he would come around. He struggled, with his own addictions and stuff because of his experience as a child. And so I grew up when I would see my dad doing things like going to powwows or doing sweats or learning to dance, but not understanding that that was my culture. That was related to me. We would go to a reserve and I said, oh, we're going to go to a reserve. That's where all the Native people are. I didn't understand that it was myself. And it was only when I was in grade 9 that I was being paired up with a partner in one of my classes, where the student who I was paired with says, I don't want to work with an Indian. Did I realize, that was something that I had never experienced before because I didn't understand how other people saw me. And so for me, when I wanted to rediscover my stories and my life and my culture, it was really difficult because I didn't have that family connection because it was broken when my dad went to residential school. So I had to seek it out as an adult. And through that, I went to Dow as well. I found my culture through my research. I was lucky enough to be able to pick topics that made sense that I wanted to seek out. And I went on and did a master's, and I looked specifically at people like me. People who grew up off reserve, people who had to refine their culture as an adult. And that's something that I've been very proud to have done. So relearning my language, because my father lost his language, and relearning my culture, learning things like beading and basket making and all sorts of different things that are related to my culture. And then I decided, well, I'm going to try to do poetry. And how many of you have heard of spoken word poetry specifically? Maybe? Some of you? So spoken word poetry has a rhythm and a flow to it. It sounds very melodic. And so in our communities, we told our stories with oral histories. We told our histories by telling stories, right? We didn't write things down. We had written language, but that wasn't how we did it. And so my way of doing poetry was a way in which I could reclaim those oral histories. And so a lot of my poetry seeks to kind of dispel myths or things that are untrue, right? Learning about things and unlearning. So a lot of the things that you guys might know might need to be unlearned and then relearned in a different way. So that's what I do with my poetry. I don't play basketball, unfortunately. I was picked on in high school, and the people who picked on me, a lot of the girls who picked on me, were also on the basketball team. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to join the basketball team. And we're going to talk about bullying and everything as well. But that's my story. And you'll hear some of my poetry at the end of it, after this.